tiredness and frustration. There can be so many barriers to long-term sexual satisfaction. Tonight, we see how a couple can leap over these barriers so that nothing is between them and a really good orgasm. In our survey, we asked people why they row with their partners. Nearly half said they don't know why, they just do it. Now, you might think that rows are uncontrollable, but as we've seen so often in sexual relationships, there's a right way and a wrong way to be on top. Sometimes your relationship feels like a big fight. Your gloves are on, you're heading for the ring to slog it out with your partner. It's one row after another. Know what I mean?
Joe usually starts the arguments.
That's not true. You create the arguments by getting into a mood. And then I might start the argument by saying, you know, by eventually getting fed up with you being so moody.
I think recently it's changed, though. I think I'm more assertive about issues.
I think I'm more assertive about issues.
We're probably both very assertive about issues, which means we argue more.
We argue about money. We argue about times that we come and go, or times that he comes and goes. We argue about responsibilities. We argue about domestic arrangements. We argue about sex a lot. It's one of the fundamental differences that we haven't resolved. I think we argue because Bert is the sort of person that is never too tired or too ill or too stressed to kind of decide he doesn't want to be involved in sex. Unless I feel happy about everything and happy about our relationship and what's going on, I can't relate sexually. It's like being able to divorce one thing from the other, and I can't do that.
Of course, it's those really major issues that make you lash out with your right hook.
Things like the milk bottles. I seem to be the only one that ever puts the milk bottles out. And I'm the only person, or seemingly the only person, that ever puts the washing away when it's taken out of the dryer.
We have a kitchen bin, we have an outside bin, and they're no more than 15 yards away from each other. I don't see the reason to have a huge sack of rubbish in the middle of the kitchen.
1, 2, 3.
Peter, how lovely. Come in. Oh, just hang on a sec. 4. There. That's your clubs. You wait till I get hold of your balls. Come on then, Peter. Can't stand there all day. Tony, you complete shit. Peter's here.
Hi, Pete.
You reptile.
If I called it a bad time,
My mother gave me that vase.
But the old bat obviously didn't teach you any manners, did she? We do have a guest, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter. What am I thinking of? You cover me. I'll see if I can make it to the kitchen. Get you a beer.
So, Tone, how is married life then?
Great. Christ, she's in the kitchen! Ha-ha! Missed!
Look, I don't want to speak out of turn, but things seem to have changed an awful lot since I was last here.
Ah, you've noticed. It's amazing what a lick of paint some wallpaper will do, isn't it?
No, I mean all this hatred.
Hatred?
Yes. We used to get on so well, and now it's like Brookside.
Oh, God, no. This is just our 6-month row.
Sorry?
Every 6 months, we have a huge row. Helps to keep the passion in our relationship. Doesn't it, lard ass?
Yes, it certainly does, snake scrotum. And now we've got 6 months of making up to do. God, you're loathsome.
Well, that's a relief. Yeah, I really thought things were...
Ow.
bastard.
Yeah, but obviously not. Shall I,
Piss off, Pete.
Okay, I'll just, Nice to see you so happy.
In our survey, 2/3 of the people we asked said that rows are useful in a relationship. A good fight can clear the air and relieve tension until the next round begins.
It's better for a couple to row than not to have any communication at all. And to a certain extent, I would say anything's better than no communication. But if expressing anger is the only way that they can communicate, the problem is that often what you get stopped at is just hearing the shout and not hearing what is actually being said behind the shout. And that actually is just as bad as no communication.
Often I think we've actually been saying roughly the same things, but if we've got a bee in the bonnet about something, you're not really listening. You're just trying to pick holes in the other person's argument, and they might be saying exactly what you think. And scoring points. I mean, it's easy, scoring points, but it doesn't actually resolve anything.
Most quarrels are uncontrolled outbursts. You say things you later regret, but rows needn't always be bad news. A lot depends on how you go about it. You'll only give yourselves a fighting chance if you stick to some basic guidelines.
I feel is the way to begin a sentence when you want to get a point across to your partner. So that if you want to have a good argument, perhaps you can agree with your partner you'll sit down and each of you will have a turn in putting their case. Do it with a stopwatch, for heaven's sakes, 10 minutes each. And all these statements should be, I feel, I would like to say, I'm upset, I, never you. And then give the other person a chance and listen to them. And that way, yes, you're going to get somewhere with that argument.
But at the final bell, is there ever really a winner?
I don't like losing my temper. Makes me tremble. Sometimes I cry just because I lose my temper.
I think we've always had this kind of banter, and I think that's healthy because it's kind of, it's quite sparky, but I think that the more deeper arguments that are about the kind of foundation, the basis of a relationship, I think, those need to be sorted out, really, because if they go on and on, eventually they are just very destructive.
Constant rows can so easily upset the intimacy, which is such a rewarding part of life as a couple. Tonight, we're exploring some of the different obstacles you face when you're trying to keep this closeness alive. For many couples, one of the most boring problems has got to be contraception. Have they found the perfect method? No, but they're trying. Oh, girls, you're not going to believe this. They're finally developing the male answer to the pill. It's an injection, it's on trial in Manchester and Edinburgh, but don't get prematurely excited, girls, because it's at least 5 years away. Something us girls can get now involves a small operation on your arm, mind you, with a local anaesthetic. This is a new development, Norplant. These little capsules are full of 5 years' worth of hormones which are inserted under the skin.
The advantages of Norplant are that when you're using it, you don't have to think about having to take a pill or using a condom and interrupting intercourse. It's a bit like having an IUD, a coil. It's working all the time, and you can then get on with your own life without having to be bothered about thinking of contraception for 5 years.
The main side effect for most women is irregular periods for the first 18 months or so. Norplant's not available everywhere yet, but your GP should be able to tell you more about it. Men's big beef about condoms is that they cover the penis in a tight rubber coating. This may be the answer. The baggy condom. You see, the idea is there's a bit of room for manoeuvre inside, but there's no movement in production for a year or two. But there's another startling development. These, the bikini knicker female condom. You see, you take this dangly bit and you poke it inside and you're off. Well, off sex. It's a prototype. The manufacturers are raring to go as soon as they can assess popular demand.
Clear Carmichael for an 8 o'clock meeting tonight. Tell Rothbergs I'm in the limo and I'll be with them in 10. Thanks,
Kate!
Bye. David! I haven't seen you in yonks. How are you?
Oh, you know, busy, busy, busy. How are the kids?
Fine when I last saw them. You know what this job's like. We are so lucky to have a nanny like Juanita.
Oh, absolutely. Look, we must get together sometime. Have a shag.
Yeah, that'd be great. I've got a window around 6:30. We can meet in the photocopying room.
No good for me, I'm afraid. I'm meeting a client then. What about lunch tomorrow? We could try that new place, the Lift.
I'm booked on the afternoon shuttle to Paris. Let me see. Meet at 1. 10 minutes foreplay, and I suppose you'll want some oral.
Well, what could be more natural than going down in the lift?
OK. That's 20. Say 2 minutes for intercourse. Allow 3 minutes dressing time.
Don't forget interruptions for mobiles.
Oh, yes. Add on 5 mins for calls. Well, it looks like I'll be just about able to squeeze you in.
Great. It's a date, then.
Why don't we meet in my office? My desk should be pretty clear around then.
Oh, anywhere with a flat surface is fine by me.
I suppose you'll want suspenders.
Well, that's a good idea. I could wear my thong.
Stockings for David.
Well, look, it's been really nice to have bumped into you like this.
Yes, it has. Mustache. Oh, by the way, if you get home before me tonight, would you give Juanita her wages and give the kids a kiss from me?
Of course, darling. Isn't that what husbands are for? Now, where's that meeting?
We tend to feel that sex should be spur of the moment stuff. We assume that our fun and frolics ought to be spontaneous, but in fact, one of the biggest turn-ons comes from that delicious feeling of anticipation. But how do you make sure you both get anticipating at the same time? You know, the agony aunts used to say that the best way to keep your sex life frisky was to give your man a little surprise when he got home. It's him. Darling.
Oh, no.
Of course, it never worked.
The other partner can be so overwhelmed by this sort of rampant sexual need that is already, you know, as it were, travelling down the journey towards orgasm, that it can be a shock. If only people would communicate. The thing to do, of course, is if you want sex tonight, tell your partner, tell them over breakfast, ring them up at work and say, yeah, I really feel romantic, I really feel sexy, I really want to make love to you. You know, how about it? When you actually then get together, you're both in sync.
So the trick is to get both your minds thinking naughty thoughts at the same time. Darling, I see you got my message. And I'll see you after the break. What is the secret of everlasting erotic sex? I'm off to meet a couple who've got the answer. John and Sue Kimber live here in Surbiton, and they've been together for 8 years, and their sex life is never, ever boring.
Her sex had behaved and used muscles he did not know any woman possessed. He relived the exquisite sensation of her cool hands on his prick. This was superseded only by the sublime moment of entry.
I really feel that using eroticism and pornography will bind relationships together. Some people may think the opposite, but I'm certain it'll bring you together, make you much more content to be together, keep the sex life going for a lot more years.
Which one of you suggested using pornography first?
I suggested it first. I feel that it's because we have a very demanding lifestyle, it's a way of escapism. And we have sex quite a lot, so you can't have the same thing every night. We don't use literature every night, but, I mean, if we've got more time, we like to unwind and get relaxed and get in the mood, and literature is a very good way of doing it. The flowing silkiness of her luxuriant blonde hair, the soft pliability of her skin, the sight of the black stockings, the boots and the basque.
We're not going to suffer from boredom because it's still exploratory, and even after 8 years of having sex together, it's still as if it's only just starting.
Pornography's added various things to our relationship. We've tried out new things, some of the things we didn't like, so we haven't done again. We have a rule between us that we'll try anything once, but then if one of us doesn't like it, then we wouldn't do it again. The touch of her moist, soft, squidgy sex as his fingers delved into the depths. The feel of her enlarged clitoris.
A good way to start is to find a book. Think of it as a sexy book. Don't call it pornography. It's a bad word. Sexy book, erotic book. Use it, read it, and get a bit more adventurous and see what you think.
I think it's also ideal for shy couples, because if you're not able to communicate very easily with your partner, but you want something particular done or you like something, if you can find it in a book or a magazine and you say, well, if you read page 63, I would quite like to do that tonight.
When you're just two people together and that's how you want it to stay, sex is a big thing, and I think that's what has helped keep us together for 8 years.
Right. Your headmaster phoned me this morning. He's extremely worried about both of you. He says you've been insolent and uncontrollable. Well, what have you got to say to that? Come on.
Is there anything wrong? Anything we've done? Anything we can do?
You could sleep around.
Pardon?
You're not like normal parents. You never have flings. You never have affairs.
Don't know what it's like. Everyone else's parents run it like rabbits.
Right. That's it. I've had enough of this talk. Now, you two, whilst you're living this...
Let's not be too hasty, dear.
Your mother and I are perfectly content as we are.
But if there are any changes that you want us to make, of course we'll consider them.
Mum, you should get out more. Loads of blokes fancy you.
Oh, no. No, please, dear. Who?
Mr. Jennings, Mr. Gill.
Mr. Singh at the newsagents. Your hairdresser's brother.
All of my mates. That's Andy, Ed, Kev, Dave, Danny.
But lots of women fancy you too, Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, loads, like, Dad. Imagine you're on a business trip with your secretary and they've accidentally booked you into a double room with a double bed. Oh dear, what are you going to do now? She's sitting beside you now. She's taking off her jacket. She hands you a glass of cool white wine. It's hot, she says. And you say...
Help! 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 Call the police! Man's secretary on the loose. Help! Help!
It's a lovely thought. But I don't think we're really cut out for this.
Don't have affairs, then ruin our lives.
Mark, Catherine, your mother and I have decided to, put it about a bit.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Excellent.
Only for a trial period, mind. Don't expect miracles. Oh, dearest, I may have to work late at the office tomorrow night.
That's fine, dear. I'll be out too. I'll be staying over with my sister.
I can't keep this up. It's like I'm living a lie.
It's for the children.
I love you.
I love you too.
Having affairs is not the option most of us aim for. We want to keep the sparkle going with one committed partner. But a relationship can feel like a three-legged race. You're tied to each other, trying like mad to keep together so you can leap over the hurdles. Over the series, we've seen how some couples manage it better than others. Do they have a secret recipe or what? You know, cooking lessons teach the basics. How much flour to how many eggs to just the right amount of sugar. But no recipe can tell you what makes the perfect relationship. So, what is the secret ingredient to stop your love from sinking in the middle?
It's sex, really, isn't it? Sex plays an important part, isn't it?
It's a big part of it,
Yeah.
sex.
It plays a big part. I think, well, it's intimate.
It brings you I think it brings you closer together.
One can't have a marriage without sex. Because through sex, when you say sex, I wouldn't say it's, I would define making love more than sex. To me, it's not sex, it's making love with someone that you do love.
Saying that it's a very important, sex being very important in a relationship, it's as important as Paul being my best friend.
I think sex is a necessary part of a relationship if you've got a reasonable marriage. I think it's a bonding as well. It's if you're having a good time and you're away, you know, it can enhance your pleasure. But also if you've got problems, and it can console you. I mean, there's many ways to look at it, but it definitely brings you together even more.
To keep you both blending smoothly, it takes a lot of hard work. The correct temperature will ensure your love keeps rising. Tastes in common are a big help, but you don't have to agree about everything. Even a good relationship needs spicing up from time to time.
Introduce new things into your sex life. I know when since Linda bought a small vibrator, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From one of the parties she went to, I've found a little spot with Linda, and when I touch the spot with the vibrator, she goes, it's brilliant. She goes berserk, and it's nice. It's enjoyable for me to watch her go mad, right, you know.
And if you get it all right, sometimes it can be naughty, but always nice.
It's nice. We both enjoy the same things in sex. We don't. There's no arguments in what we do in our sex life, is there? Really.
No.
Linda likes blue films, the same as I like blue films. Linda enjoys a vibrator every now and again.
That's right, yeah.
It's all trust and respect and serious amounts of love and damn good sex. Really, really good sex. Take time to do the sex, because if you get good sex, you don't even worry about everything else.
When we're making love, it makes me feel that I am in love. I am really in love with Linda at the time. And, well, I am anyway.
And on that note, we're shutting up shop. We hope you've picked up something useful over the past few weeks. I know I have. Good night.